who's been performing yoga for a short time and the yogi who's been performing for a long time, right? He says that the devotee who's only performed yoga for a short time, they are going to be born into a rich family or a righteous family, right? And the person who has performed austerities or yoga for a long time is going to take birth in a transcendental family. Okay, 43. One taking such a birth, he revises divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. So the yogi, after enjoying, being birthed in these different families, he is going to pick up right where he left. And so what I wanted to mention in this regards is that we can understand that Kardamuni, he's also doing these long penances. He's done 10,000 years of penance, right? And so that we can understand that his yoga, and even though he's feeling lusty, if he keeps going, he's going to find all success in worshiping the Supreme Person. But because of lust, because the material nature is so strong, if we fall down, then there is no loss, because Krishna will help us in the sense of giving us a nice birth where we can pick up. Matter of fact, Srila Prabhupada has explained that there's two different devotees in this situation. There's the devotee that's akama and sakama. So the devotee who's in the akama devotee is the pure devotee. The pure devotee is asking nothing from the Lord. He wants nothing materially. But the sakama devotee, he knows that the Supreme Person is the Supreme Person, and he's doing his devotional service or penance or austerities for the Supreme Person, but he still has some material attachment, right? So we can understand that this is the situation of Kardama is that he is performing these pious activities directed towards the Supreme Person, but he still has some material attachment, right? So in that material, but these two are still devotees, right? So what I thought is that we could try to look into the Srimad Bhagavatam about the difference of these, understanding the two difference of these devotees, and see where we have examples of these two types of devotees. So the Sakama devotee, obviously we're getting the example from Karma Muni. He's doing the penances, he understands the Supreme, but he's seeing that he has some desires still with him. Also, does anybody have an example of another? Well, actually, before we go there, I've already explained another devotee in the same situation of a Sakama devotee, in that Mother Bhumi, the Lord Earth, is feeling distress, and what does she do? She goes to Krishna and says, she goes to Lord Brahma and says, please help me. So she knows that what the process is of finding relief for her suffering, of going to the Supreme Person through the Acharya, Lord Brahma, but she still has this desire to be protected. She doesn't have complete faith in the Lord that He'll just do it. Does that make sense? Okay. So what other examples do we have of a devotee, a Sakama devotee? Dhruva? Yes, this is a very good one, right? Dhruva is doing so many penances, and he sees Lord Krishna, and he says, I was looking for shards of glass, and I found a diamond. Very good example. We can understand that most of the time the demigods are in this situation of Sakama. They've gotten this nice birth where they can enjoy with their material desires still, but they're still in a situation of devotees where they can do some service for the Lord. Anybody else have any examples of the Sakama devotee? Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, how about we explain the Akama devotee, or we think of explanations or situations in Bhagavatam where we can see the devotee who's an Akama devotee. Anybody? I'll start with one. How about Draupadi? Right? Draupadi is being disrobed in the assembly, and instead of Actually, is this interesting? It's interesting in the sense that she, at first, when she's praising the Lord, she still has some attachment, right, and some control. And then she finally gives completely to the Lord and says, okay, whatever is going to happen is up to you. And this is the significance of her dropping her hands. She says, whatever you want, Krishna, if this is your arrangement, then so be it. But if you want to protect me, so be it too. And then Krishna gives her unlimited sari, right? Any other examples of the devotee in the Srimad Bhagavatam that's in this situation? I had Prahlad Maharaj written down too, right? How is, can somebody give Gokulananda Prabhu the mic? So how do we understand that Prahlad is in this situation as a Kama devotee?
As per in our tradition, the definition that is given about bhakti is Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktiruttama, right? So Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't have any tinge of desire for material enjoyment. So in whatever situation he was placed in, he didn't want anything for himself, but he always chose to take shelter of Krishna.
Yeah, and when he's in the situation of trying to be killed by his father, he never even asks the Lord to save him, right? He just takes it, and the Lord, whatever the Lord desires, is Prahlad's. He says whatever you desire, whatever you arrange, I'm okay with it, right? Any other examples? The gopis. How are the gopis showing their
Gopis were willing to sacrifice everything, including their relations to their near ones and dear ones. And their only purpose of their existence was to give pleasure to Krishna. And there is a story where Narad Muni, told them that Krishna has headache, and gopis wanted to scrape off the dust. Narad Muni said basically the headache could go away only when a devotee scrapes off the dust of their feet and puts it on Krishna's head. But then the other aspect of it is that anyone who does that would go eternally to hell. So gopis were willing to do that. They didn't even think, even for a moment, that they will be going to hell for doing so. So that shows their only purpose.
Whatever Krishna wants.
Yeah.
Whatever Krishna wants.
To please Krishna.
Very nice, very nice. So the purpose in talking about the Kama devotee is that these are both devotees. And they might be on two different levels, and might have to, but the Lord is so affectionate to either one, He still will help them. He still helps the pure devotee. He already knows, what they want. They don't even ask, and the Lord takes care of them. The Sakama devotee, he says, I understand your heart. I see that you still want it, and I'll make an arrangement for you to be able to use that in devotional, service. The next thing that I wanted to bring up in the Lord's affection towards devotees is not so much the affection but a warning. There's always a nice, we give the do's and the don'ts, right? But in the warning is that in chapter 9, text 11, Krishna says that fools deride him because they think that he is just he isn't transcendental, that he's just coming as a normal person, right? And Srila Prabhupada in that purport explains that this is a misunderstanding, that we should never think of the Lord as just a normal human being, that he's Isvara Param Krishna, the supreme person. He says also in that purport, he says, they do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he is the proprietor of everything that be, and that he can award liberation to anyone, because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him. Furthermore, Srila Prabhupada explains later in a different part is that the difference between worship and service, that the devotee isn't just so interested in worshiping the Lord. They will worship the Lord, but the devotee is interested in serving the Lord. But we can't come up, it's very difficult to come up to devotional service of the Lord when we're thinking of him just like a normal person. This is